My amplified unit, salute! I don't get to do these often, but when I do, they're usually pretty fun NXT reviews. And coming off the heels of a pretty successful Battleground Sunday night by Shawn Michaels and the NXT boys and gals, this was a huge show last night for NXT. Of course, they have this big move going to an entirely new network in 4 months. You have this new relationship with TNA Wrestling, and you're coming off the heels of Battleground. There's no way that Paul Levesque McMahon, Shawn Michaels, WWE in totality, they want to be in the shadows of any other brand like AEW. So they felt that this was the week to put their foot heavy onto the gas and surpass AEW in the ratings, even if only for a week. This was their chance. Last week, Dynamite from AEW pulling 790,000 viewers. NXT pulled up to 768, just 22,000 away from Dynamite. So this week, they said we're coming off the heels with the post-Battleground show. AEW Dynamite has to go against stiff competition with the NBA Finals and the Celtics and the Mavs. So alls they had to do is have an advertised appearance by their world champion on the main roster, Cody Rhodes, and they felt that would be the cherry on top. Even if only for a week, NXT will surpass Dynamite. That's what they're hoping for. Again, post-Battleground show, AEW against stiff NBA final competition, and then you have an advertised appearance by their world champion, Cody Rhodes. That could be enough. They were only 22,000 away last week. And again, that's significant because of the relationship with TNA. You don't want these two companies working together. These two brands / companies, and AEW is still beating them in the ratings, both of them. And even working together, they can't beat AEW. You know, the ego. It's not that far off the same tree that the apple fell off for Vincent Kennedy McMahon, for Paul Levesque McMahon. That ego is there, and Shawn Michaels is in lockstep. They definitely want to surpass AEW, especially with this move to the new network, man. It's 4 months away. All the advertisers you want to work with, all these big business ventures, you don't want to be the third wheel. So this was the week that they felt they could do it, right? They've been trying to do it. You've been seeing main roster talent basically every week on these shows. But this was the one where they said, we're sending you Cody Rhodes. And Shawn Michaels is like, penciling him in right now. It doesn't even matter what he's doing, right? Advertise it, wait a full first hour, right? Build the suspense, keep your audience there, and then you can deliver in the second hour. Anyway, that was the setup. Now, that's what we kind of already knew, right? This was WWE's way to finally surpass AEW again, and at least for a week, make sure that WWE has monopolized the top 3 spots, Raw, SmackDown, and NXT. Flip-flop, SmackDown, Raw, NXT, and boot AEW to the 4th spot. But when it was all said and done, that's not really what was being talked about. It was a dig by Cody Rhodes to AEW. Some people like to think it was a nod to AEW. He didn't say anything that drastic. Others are like, what did you hear what he said? That obviously was a dig to AEW. So what did Cody say? We're going to talk about it. We'll go over that when we go to the second hour. This won't take too long. I don't have that much time, but I have some coffee, and I do have a little bit of time this morning. So we're going to go over the show. Again, hopefully it won't take too long. I'll get to the Cody Rhodes segment and what he said. Actually, it was later on. He started the second hour, but it was a backstage segment that got all the kind of attention on Cody Rhodes and the dig to AEW. We'll go over, is my point. So let's get into it, so you don't got to wait another minute. We start this show off, and I don't know why, but I'm on Monday Night Raw for 610, so that's not... I think we already did Monday Night Raw's review, guys. Let me go over to... I'm prepared, huh? We got Monday Night Raw's review going on here. All right, here we go. All right, more coffee, BC. I was about to give you guys the same Raw review I just gave you yesterday. By the way, that was 3 separate uploads. It was the only way I could do it time-wise. So hour 1 was a separate upload, hour 2, hour 3. A lot of you guys may not Know that maybe you caught an upload, smashed the up real quick because you were at work or doing errands. You didn't realize it. Wow, BC left out a lot this week on Monday Night Raw. No, it was 3 separate uploads, guys. Make sure you check them all out. I appreciate that. So it was a little different yesterday. I totally get it. But this NXT review will be all in one bundle, I assure you. We kicked the show off with Kelani Jordan. Let me get a swig of coffee first because I got a little bit to say about this. Kelani Jordan starts the show with an in-ring promo. Now, many fans said her mic skills were going to hold her back. They even compare her to Mercedes Moné, who I feel is the greatest woman wrestler on the planet today, right? Some people say one of. I have her in the top spot, but I totally get it. Suggestive, but we all can agree she is one of, bare minimum, everybody's greatest match. But a lot of fans do say that the one thing that holds them back from totally engaging with Mercedes and being captivated by her, the one thing that holds her back is the microphone, right? She's not too good on it. And that's a fair assessment, right? We talk about Ricochet all the time. He oohs, he ahs. Ricochet is really good at the flips, the dives, the glorified gymnastics. He puts on a performance every time he's in the ring. Microphone, not so much. That's where it kind of ends, right? Wah, 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 for a lot of fans. And so it's at least a fair discussion when talking about Mercedes Moné. You know, enough people have said the mic skills is where it ends for them. So you have to take a good look at, the accuracy in that. I totally get it. Kelani Jordan, same way, which is funny because I truly feel WWE is positioning Kelani Jordan to be the next Sasha Banks, which she was to WWE. And it's almost the same trajectory. A lot of fans going, damn, this soon in her career, she's already that good. But on the microphone, maybe not so much. I asked you guys on Battleground. I can't always check out NXT because of other commitments and other business. So I asked you guys, how many promos has she had? Is she good on the mic? And the response I got was, still needs a lot of work. So this was good for BC to really hear, what is she bringing to the table on the microphone? Now, this was a short 2-minute promo, but all I need up front is just a couple of minutes just to get the initial assessment. So this was my first time hearing her rock out on the microphone, short 2-minute promo. She's definitely soft-spoken, Kelani Jordan, no question about it. She's still trying to navigate the crowd, right? When to pause, when to play to them, when to make sure they're not taking over the promo. These are all things you kind of learn along the way. Some get it instantly. Some are just on day one, they grab a microphone. It's like they came out of the womb with a microphone, right? They were talking, they were cutting promos from day one. Paul Heyman, for instance, right? I'm convinced Paul Heyman came out of the womb just cutting promos. But others, it takes time, and they really do have to kind of learn all the nuances of it. And some just never get it. A lot of individuals, you would be surprised, guys. I will go as far as to say most pro wrestlers, they never get the microphone. They never get the hang of it. They're never comfortable with it. NXT, they have held promo classes nearly from day one. Promo classes. Literally, it's part of your week in NXT. Several times a week, you do promo classes. Dusty would have you actually go in front of everybody and cut your promo, and Dusty would evaluate you on the spot. And a lot of these individuals, they even when they got to the main roster, it's like, what were you spending time on? This is horrible. You'd almost be better if you didn't have promo classes. That's why even if you go to promo school, basically, these wrestlers still don't have it. So it's one of those things with Kelani where she's already soft-spoken. So that's going to make fans go, well, I don't know about this. You know what I mean? Like, where's the amplification in her voice? And then you can tell she's still trying to navigate the crowd, for instance, that they're doing chants, but she's trying to talk over them, but she's so soft-spoken that she's kind of being overtaken by the crowd. So that was a little off as well. But she's going to go through the growing pains. But for being a complete rookie in this pro wrestling game, I'm telling you now, I like this gal. There's a sincerity in her tone and a presence you can easily navigate toward and easily get behind. And that's good. That's not always the case. So I'm looking forward to Kelani's title reign and, more importantly, her career going forward in totality. So that is the highest praise I could probably give. But I totally understand the concerns over the microphone, and those are the same concerns for most wrestlers today. And that's no different for NXT, even though they go through promo class. But Kelani, there's a sincerity in this gal, and her talent obviously speaks for itself. I just want to give her a huge chance because there's so much potential there. So I'll be watching on vividly over the next several months, and hopefully Kelani keeps climbing that ladder. The title is not going to make Kelani. Kelani will make the title. Hopefully more valuable, seem and feel more special and prestigious. So that's my assessment. We talked a little bit about this during the Battleground review, so that's why I wanted to spend a couple extra minutes on my evaluation of Kelani. Now, Kelani was cut off short by Jaida. Again, it was about 2 minutes of a promo. Jaida Parker comes out. Now, Jaida is the opposite of soft-spoken. Jaida came out with attitude and that aforementioned amplification. Jaida gives no Fs, man. Jaida came out and started cutting deep on Kelani, but she was cut off short too, this time by Michin. And Michin had no desire to talk. She just attacked Jaida Parker on sight. And that's kind of what kicked off the show match-wise. Jaida Parker versus Michin. That would end up being our first matchup. And thanks to some help from some main roster friends in the form of Gallows and Anderson, Michin would defeat Parker. That was via pinfall, by the way. And just to set that up, right, let me go back a little bit. Parker was about to use a steel chair, but Carl Anderson was like, nah, not to our girl. You ain't doing that here. So, again, that's why I say with a little help from some friends like Gallows and Anderson, Michin pulls off this victory. But Jaida Parker, wow, even backstage, she was in a segment and she was just, I talk about that natural delivery. And Jaida Parker just lets it roll as if a camera isn't even there. Jaida Parker's just spitting, right? Where others, they seize up with the camera. They start trying to overthink the bullet points that they're supposed to get to, right? What's everything I'm supposed to say? What was all the things that Shawn Michaels told me to emphasize? What was highlighted? You know, instead of just spitting off, relax. He may not be a Green Bay Packer anymore, so other Packer fans in BC were supposed to toss him aside like yesterday's garbage, but it's one thing that Aaron Rodgers definitely got right. RELAX. And Michin picks up a W, by the way. That's something you don't see often, right? Doesn't really have anything going on the main roster. Some people would say she came to NXT just to squash their talent, but trust me, Jaida Parker got a lot in this, man. People like BC really got to see more of her work, hear her on that microphone. So there's a lot more gained than lost in that L for Jaida Parker last night. So that was the whole first part of the show. I liked it because I got to hear and see more of Kelani Jordan and Jaida Parker, see what they had. Got to see Michin actually pick up a W. You forget she can actually rock in that ring. But Paul Levesque McMahon just doesn't have the time to give her on his two shows. So such is. Maybe that changes in the future. Maybe she stays down in NXT. And then you got to wonder what's Gallows and Anderson doing. They had a pretty decent tag match at Battleground Sunday night. Shows you they can still go, but it looks like they have no plans to utilize Gallows and Anderson on the main roster at all. They're just going to be AJ's boys until AJ retires. Then we went on to a 6-man tag after a swig of coffee. NXT didn't have the swig of coffee. BC just had the swig of coffee. Speaking of, it was Gallus, Joe, and Mark Coffey, along with Wolfgang, taking on Wesley and New Catch Republic. Tyler Bate, P.D. Dunn. Booker T was hilarious from the jump. Booker getting his coffee mixed up. Not actual coffee. The Coffee Brothers. He was calling Mark Coffey Joe Coffey, I believe. I had to pop at that because I literally had two coffees. Right, left hand I had my Dunkin', right hand I had a Starbucks, and Booker's over there getting his coffees mixed up. The Coffee Brothers. All right, that popped BC anyway. So, the fact that I'm not a fan of six-man schmazes and most of this match was spent in commercial, I never could get into a groove with this match. That doesn't mean it wasn't good, because let me tell you, there was a ton of action. The crowd was really invested and into it. They were really behind Wes Lee. Wes Lee was doing his thing, firing on all cylinders. Just BC, and I know a lot of fans like me, especially with that commercial break being so long and half the match bare minimum, it took me definitely out of it. But I'm not a fan of six-man schmazes anyway. But again, crowd into it, so I can't dog it out. They were into it until the finish anyway. Joe Coffey ends up defeating Wes Lee, so it wasn't just the result, it was how it was done. It was Wes Lee that was looking up at the lights, so the crowd was really like, because they were so behind him. And it was like a JBL-style clothesline. Flipped Wes Lee basically inside out. Flipped him like a New Day pancake. And again, 1, 2, 3. So that's that. Crowd into it, and then the finisher was like, what the But I got to see the coffees. As long as the coffee comes out on top. And then to end hour 1, this is what I was really looking forward to. Wendy Choo returns. Choo! And defeats. Wendy Choo returns and defeats Brittany Reese. Via tap out, mind you. So this was a vicious Wendy Choo, man. This Wendy Choo is not back for sleepovers. Just because she's in her little sleepy onesie and she's got her teddy bear, that's not the same Wendy Choo anymore. This Wendy Choo, this one, she doesn't care about the sleepovers, man. This is a darker Wendy Choo. Still got a good fan pop in response, though. But this Wendy Choo, I want to see this Wendy Choo take on Wyatt version Alexa Bliss. So that's what I'm getting more vibes with that than I am Nikki Cross and like Alexa Bliss. We believe Nikki Cross will be a part of Uncle Howdy's new stable, not Alexa Bliss. So I'm not sure about that decision. Nikki Cross fits, I get it, but Alexa already has that stability in that whole atmosphere. But if you saw Wendy Choo last night, I kind of want to see that in the Wyatt version of Alexa. Interesting. And then we went to hour 2, guys. This was Cody Rhodes. So Cody Rhodes, again, starts hour 2, pop that rating. That's all this was. Pop the rating. Last week, again, only 22,000 viewers behind AEW Dynamite, 790 to 768. It's closest they've been in the longest of time. And again, you're moving to networks, a whole new network in 4 months. You're coming off of Battleground. You're in this relationship with TNA. You don't want to be behind AEW. 2 companies together. And AEW is still beating you. Different night, I get it. Tuesday and Wednesday, or Thursday as well. TNA Thursday, NXT Tuesday, AEW Wednesday. But AEW is winning. And that's AEW falling backwards, mainly, right? AEW has not been able to sniff 800,000 in 2 full months. So this was the time where WWE said, we have to put the foot deep down on the gas pedal now. Coming off of Battleground, we have the post-show. A little bit of interest will be buzzed up. AEW is going against the NBA Finals, Game 3, Celtics-Mavs. If we just advertise a big name, we could defeat AEW here, man. This could be our chance. And you guys have no idea what that does for advertising. Every week, every day, every hour, a company like Endeavor is constantly in negotiations and business deals with advertisers and so much endeavors. No pun intended. So if you can say you are the 3rd biggest show, or brand, whatever you want to say, that you're in that 3rd spot right behind SmackDown and Raw, and you could totally kick AEW out of the conversation, you have no idea how big that is in business meetings. Even if it's for a week, how many business deals are going down in that week? And you're saying, oh, by the way, that AEW is supposed to be the 2nd biggest juggernaut. They're even behind us, NXT. It's huge. So what I'm saying is this is where they felt this is the time. We're right there anyway. They have stiff competition. We're coming off our PLE. And they put Cody Rhodes as an advertised name. Cody Rhodes, their world champion. They waited the whole first hour. They brought him out for the 2nd hour. Right in the middle there. There he is. Cody talked about his I Quit match this Saturday. And by the way, it wasn't anything he did in this segment. A few segments later is what got everybody talking, saying he sent that dig over to AEW. We'll discuss it. But for this segment, Cody talked about his I Quit match this Saturday. Clash at the Castle, Scotland with AJ Styles. Trick Williams comes out. You already knew that was happening because before we went to commercial, Trick Williams was walking the corridor. So Williams comes out. Williams wants to know if Cody will come to his cookout. Again, I can't watch the show like I do every other because of a lot of other business that I have. So I'm not familiar with what cookout they're talking about, but I'm just creatively, right? The creativity in BC is already rocking. I'm thinking Trick is going to hold a cookout. And on a show, you could keep going back to the cookout, have all this thing happening, and then this massive brawl happens at the cookout. So I'm creatively just thinking of all the cool things you can do. But at the moment, I didn't know what cookout we're talking about, but it was funny, right? The only thing he wants to know from Cody is, will you come to my cookout? Crowd is going ecstatic. Cody's like BC, what cookout is this guy talking about? But he's like, yeah, I'll be there. I'm going to the cookout. Riveting creative, man. But this was no harm, no foul. This was just a fun way to get to the two heavyweight champions. Your Cody Rhodes main roster, your NXT champion, Trick Williams. This was a fun way to get them together, have a laugh over this cookout invitation. And again, more than anything, business. Pop the rating, and if you can get a little bit of rub from Cody over to Trick Williams in the process, they're like, let's go. So we'll talk in about a couple of minutes. We're going to talk about the backstage segment with Cody Rhodes. And this is what really got people talking. Unnecessary dig to AEW, or was it just a harmless little nod to AEW, right? Some fans are kind of conflicting in how they feel about it. We'll talk about it in a minute. But first, a vicious match. This was the most physical kendo stick match I've ever seen. And I've seen them all, basically. And these two, I don't know what, if they came to Gorilla after their match last night, Vincent Kennedy McMahon would have fired them both on the spot. That's how physical this was. Swig of coffee, we'll talk about it. So this was Lexis King taking on Dante Chen. And again, I do not remember a kendo stick match this vicious. There was more welts on these two halfway through their match than I've ever seen two wrestlers have in a full kendo stick match. And usually you start to see the welts vividly much after the match, right? Both wrestlers went back, hit the showers, or maybe before, whatever, hour or two later, they post up on their social doohickey machines, battle wounds or whatever. You see them afterwards, right? You see them a little bit during the match, and then afterwards you really see the effect that the kendo stick. This you didn't have to wait at all. Chen literally had like just whippings, like he was beat for a month. Lexis King, absolutely nearly the same as Chen, but not quite. And halfway through, you're like, what are they doing? They're literally swinging for the fences like they're Giancarlo Stanton for the New York Yankees. Batting cleanup, 3 men on base, and we're down by 3. That grand slam will give us the W. That's how Lexis was swinging. That's how Dante was swinging. I have not seen a physical match, and I couldn't think, look, this kendo stick, most physical I've ever seen, and I couldn't help but think of, I think it was Bayley and Alexa Bliss, possibly Extreme Rules. It was a kendo stick match. If you guys remember that, or you can go back and check it out, I think it was Bayley, Alexa, Extreme Rules. It was a kendo stick match. It was the worst kendo stick match I've ever seen. They were tapping each other the entire match. Tapping. And I couldn't help but think of that because it's the totally opposite on the spectrum. They were just wailing away. And I couldn't help but contrast the two. Wild, man. Again, I say it, VKM would have fired both the second they got into Gorilla if they put on that performance. Vincent Kennedy would have never allowed that. So props to these two for going out there and doing the performance that they did when they didn't have to do that. They could have toned that down about 30 to 40%. And it would have had the desired result. We would have been like, damn, good kendo stick match. They said, no, they said, screw it. Let's go. Finish saw King use that cane instead of the kendo stick. So I love this, right? You got all these sticks in the ring, some broken, some shattered, some full length, all these sticks, but it's this black cane that you notice, right? So it was kind of, even though it's totally different color, it blended in at first because you're so used to them having something in their hands. All of a sudden you notice, wait a second, that ain't a kendo stick. So that's why I thought it was brilliant. He uses the cane and subsequent pinfall victory afterwards for Lexis over Dante. I can't give him more praise enough. Wow. I was not expecting that, man. I was like, it's one of those matches you're just watching like, whoa, they're actually letting this happen on the USA Network, bro. They had to save it for the second hour, obviously. But I also don't think Shawn Michaels knew they were going to go to that length. You know, they probably did get reprimanded a little bit, but nobody's getting fired. Shawn Spears would defeat Javon Evans next up, and then a funny backstage segment with Cody Rhodes, Shawn Spears, Ethan Page, and Lexis King. Think about that. You know where we're going with this, right? You knew there was going to be some type of line which had controversy following it. I'll say those names again. Tell me what they have in common, man. Cody Rhodes, Shawn Spears, Ethan Page, Lexis King, Brian Pillman Jr., AEW talent. All came from AEW. You noticed right when they all came in, wait a second, this is like a little, I see what they're doing here. And then Cody Rhodes, they all started arguing. Not Cody, but they all started arguing because Cody's already got the title. He won the Rumble, then he went on to win the title. So they were saying that they want to follow the same trajectory. They have a big battle royal coming up. They're going to win the battle royal. They're going to win the championship. So Page and Spears and King, they all start arguing. Cody shuts them all up. Whoa. It's clear, he says. The quote is, it seems to me, this is from Cody Rhodes, looking at all three dudes, it seems to me you're all in a good place now. And he walks off. That was his quote. Obviously, an AEW nod or diss, depending on which side of the fence you stand on. Some say it was just a harmless nod. Others are like, that was a clear diss. It wasn't putting AEW in the best of light. That's pretty obvious, right? He literally looks at them and goes, it's clear to me. In other words, what he was saying is, no matter who wins it, you're all arguing. It seems to me, no matter what, you're all in a good place right now. So what does that mean? You're in a good place. The flip side to that, what people would think of is, okay, he's saying you're in a good place as opposed to, that's the opposite of a bad place. They all came from AEW. You're in a good place now, right? That's not stretching, right? There's no conspiracy there. There's nothing like that. It's literally, you're all in a good place now as opposed to where they just came from. That's obvious. So we're not gonna have this big controversial thing anyway, or discussion, but the community's already doing that. But it's clear that was a little bit more of a diss than a nod. But Cody is not one of those individuals to get really into the weeds of a back and forth with anybody. So, this was a subtle, just listen, we're all doing really good right now. Let's just be happy about that. No matter who wins the Battle Royal or the title, look at where you are. Look what you're doing, man. You're all being heavily featured on this brand and on these shows. Like in this one episode alone, you're all heavily featured. Like you're all in a good place right now. You were barely getting the TV time over there. It's not a stretch to see that that's what he was saying. You're all in a good place now. And he walks away. And all three of the dudes are looking at each other like, never thought of it that way. Like no matter what, this is pretty good. This is a lot better. So that's why a lot of fans are like, dude, another diss. But you can look at it like the flip side. AEW constantly is throwing digs at WWE too. Anyway, so that's the segment that was getting more traction and more conversation, way more than the Cody Trick Williams actual in-ring segment at the start of the hour. That's the one everybody was talking about, and you can clearly see why. Just even before Cody said that line, just to have those dudes like in the same shot together, in the same segment, it was wild, right? Because before even a word was said, you were just like, whoa, all of them just came from AEW, wild. And then the end of the night, the final segment was Roxanne Perez, Rok-C's Battleground victory lap, basically. And this was JC Jane coming out, Lash Legend, Lola Vice, and they're all claiming they want a shot at Rok-C's championship. Now, Lola, I understand, she just knocked out Shayna Baszler. Referee stoppage at Battleground, I get that, right? That's a natural progression to want the champion. Some say there's a lot more work that needs to be done. More W's need to be collected, but Lola Vice, you can at least see. JC Jane has a valid argument as she was talking about how she was, I don't know what she was saying, like popping the ratings, and everybody was coming to see her, and she was doing X, Y, and Z before an injury and before she stepped away. JC at least has like that, at least wrestling-wise, storyline-wise, has that argument to go against Rok-C. The one that kind of doesn't make sense is Lash Legend, because she was just going for the mid-card champion. It's mid-card right now, right? The Women's North American title. She was going for that. You lost that, and now you want a shot at the World Championship. That shouldn't be the way it goes, not even storyline-wise. It just wouldn't make sense. So I don't understand Lash being out there, but the arguing between all of them turns into a brawl, and it would be Rok-C and Lola Vice clearing the ring and standing tall when it was all said and done, ending the show. And they weren't staring at each other like they were going to face each other. This was just showing you that Rok-C and Lola Vice, they're at the top right now. Like that was a clear message by Shawn Michaels, like it's these two. And that was a massive W by Lola over Shayna on Sunday. A massive, and that's an understatement, victory by Rok-C over Jordynne Grace, the TNA Knockouts champion, on Sunday night. And they wanted to showcase Rok-C and Lola ending that show, and that's what they did. As Vic Joseph is saying, the women's division is heating up. And of course, Heat Wave is coming up, so they really want to put that focus on the ladies, as they have been. But Rok-C and Lola are at the top. I don't think you don't even have to have them face each other. Lola doesn't have to win Rok-C's title in the near future. Just her being alongside Rok-C, you could have them in some kind of unit, right? They could form something special. But it's definitely two ladies that I'm very much behind. Lola Vice brings so much, and if she wants to shake that ass after her matches, say, have at it, right? Shake it up, man. Rok-C will do her thing, who I've always been high on, and we'll see where the company wants to take both of them. But it's going to be interesting to see how they navigate JC Jane, Lash Legend, and several others in the process. That was NXT Tuesday night, the 11th of June for 2024. A big week for them. Advertising Cody, foot on the gas, post-Battleground. Could this be the week NXT tops AEW Dynamite? This close to moving to networks, and with a new relationship with TNA, you know this would be that cherry on top for WWE, claiming the third highest rated wrestling show in the States over AEW. We'll see. We won't find out until about Thursday afternoon, maybe even Friday morning, when Dynamite's numbers come out. Till next time, and there will be that next time. Top guys, we are out. BC and the unit saying check you.